Hi, friends. I think this is my last day here in the Social Center until National Signing Day, but that's all right. It is TexAgs Rewind presented by T-Mobile, and T-Mobile wants to remind you to visit T-Mobile.com/acrossamerica to learn more how you can get value and coverage through T-Mobile. Appreciate what they do, and we had a fun show, fun week out here. Billy joined the show, as he always does on Fridays. All Billy, all the time. We also went around Aggieland with Richard Zane, who also gave us some baseball to talk about as well. John Pugliese gave us some thoughts heading into the South Carolina game. And A&M, what do they need to do to get things right there against South Carolina and beyond? It is TexAgs Rewind, presented by T-Mobile. What is the issue that Buzz is working on?
I don't know. What do you got in mind?
Well, couple things I have in mind. First off,
well, you said D, and I was thinking, well, there's several that might come to mind.
I'm just curious what you would say.
Okay. Oh, okay. I would think it's to find that if there's somebody who's struggling with their shot, start limiting his shots. Like, for instance, I've said this, A&M, eventually it's going to happen where everybody on the same night has a solid game.
Sure.
Okay? So we see a game a couple of days ago, and I'm thinking, who was it that was just really cold and kept shooting? I said, at some point, or maybe it's just the three-pointers against Kentucky, think maybe it's time to just start looking inside a little more. I don't mean to call him out, but it's just, look at things the way they are. The other night, Marcus Williams didn't show up, and I think he was like 1 of 8.
He was terrible.
So, maybe there's some say, well, now you got to shoot your way out of a slump, but has he shown?
If you're Steph Curry.
Yes.
If you're Steph Curry, if you're a shooter, right? Like somebody and I don't even mean just at the professional level, but somebody who is known to be a shooter, you let a shooter shoot until. If you are a sporadic shooter, I don't know if that's the case, right? Like, I especially at this level when these games are coming down to it. But, yeah, I agree with you. Like, limit some shots. The most difficult thing is that I don't think A&M has played particularly well in the last 3 games, but they've had chances to win against teams that are ranked higher than them, right? So I ask you that knowing that they can play better than that. And can they make up ground still? Do you think they can still make up enough ground to make the NCAA tournament?
Well, before the Missouri game, you asked me about the next 4 games and what these next 4 games need to look like. And I say they need to be 2-2 after these next 4. But more importantly, these next 8 are a buzzsaw of SEC play. And so, you're 1-3. You've got South Carolina. You've got to beat South Carolina. Right, you have to beat South Carolina. You have to beat the teams that you're better than. Tennessee, Missouri, and then LSU. You need to find a way to beat LSU at home. It's going to be difficult to beat Tennessee at home, but you need to win that Missouri game, right? That would put you at 4-4. I mean, which is not the worst thing, right? LSU would be a Q1 win. LSU would give you a little bit of substance there. And you just got to beat the teams you're supposed to. I still think the top 6 teams in SEC play make the NCAA tournament. But I'll also say this, David, is this team doesn't make the NCAA tournament if they finish top 6 and they lose in round 1 or 2 of the SEC tournament. They don't make the NCAA tournament if they do that. So this team needs to build up to the point where they're winning games in the SEC tournament. So position yourself where you can, win the games you can, and then try and go on a run because their non-conference schedule, it just didn't help them. So this team, you've lost 3 games. You needed to win at least one of those here. Now it's time to, control what you can. You've got 5 big games coming up. I know Auburn, number 1 team in the country right now. And that would extend it to, 9 games, that are really important since the Missouri game. But worry about the next one. South Carolina, you got to win because they're not as good as you are.
All right, so what do we have going on?
Okay, so men's basketball news. The skid continues. A&M has now lost 3 consecutive games as the Aggies fell to number 19 LSU on Wednesday night in gut-wrenching fashion, 70-64. The A&M now 15-5 overall, 4-3 in the SEC. The Aggies missed their final 6 field goal attempts. LSU went on a 13-2 run over the final 3 minutes and 34 seconds. Yikes. Quentin Jackson, a team-high 20 points. Andre Gordon, he had 18 on 7 of 11 from the field. And then Baton Rouge native, a nice homecoming for Tyrese Radford, scored 14 points in his hometown. The Aggies will return to Reed Arena on Saturday night as they host Frank Martin and the South Carolina Gamecocks. 7:30 p.m. tip-off on the SEC Network. South Carolina comes in 12-7 overall, 3-4 in the Southeastern Conference. And then women's basketball, they've had the week off. They'll be back in action on Sunday. They travel to Starkville. Gary Blair and company will take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs. A 3 p.m. tip-off, also televised on the SEC Network. The Aggies are looking to end a 2-game skid. They're 1-6 in the conference. Mississippi State is 12-7 overall, 3-4 in the SEC. David, when you were in school, what was the craziest trip that you took?
Craziest trip I took. So I did the Cancun thing. I did, fraternity stuff all over the place. I can't remember, but I would say the craziest trip I took was my junior year spring break. We drove to Panama City.
Okay, so Sam Bennett, men's golfer, has blown
There was more to that story, Richard.
He has blown that out of the water. He's playing in the Dubai Desert Classic at the Emirates Golf Club. He received an exemption into the PGA European Tour event. First round went really well. 2 under 70 for Sam on Thursday, and then today, not so great. 4 over 76. He's ended his first 2 rounds at 2 over, tied for 81st. The projected cut line is sitting at 1 over, so it means Sam would miss it by 1 stroke. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if things changed or not. However, great experience for the young man. Texas A&M men's golf will be back in action on Monday. They're actually opening their spring slate in the Seabest Invitational in Point Verde Beach, Florida. That event begins Monday, January the 31st, and will conclude on Tuesday. I doubt...
What city was that?
At Point Verde Beach, Florida.
Ponte Vedra Beach.
Thank you.
I would have said Point Verde too.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thanks, Dalton.
Dalton's
always making me look good. Or
Dalton's
bad.
always like this, like I don't know, like this authoritarian voice in the background.
He likes to always bring me down a peg. Like if I'm up here, because I'm never up here. If I'm right here, he likes to make sure I'm down here.
He does that to me too.
He likes to bring me back. Moving on, track and field in Lubbock this weekend. Hopefully, I pronounced that word correctly. Competing in the Texas Tech Open. Friday, the meet begins at 3 p.m. Saturday, it begins at 10 a.m. Both days will be streaming on ESPN+. Men's and women's swimming and diving in action tonight. It's senior night at the Rec Center and Auditorium. The Aggies will face SMU. The men will honor 8 seniors. The women will honor 7 seniors. 5 p.m. event starts at the Rec Center and Auditorium. Women's tennis made history yesterday. They're 6-0 for the first time in school history. They have held 6 straight opponents scoreless, outscoring their opponents 42-0, defeating A&M Corpus Christi 7-0 yesterday before beating Prairie View A&M 7-0 at the second end of a doubleheader. They're hosting the ITA kickoff weekend this weekend. They'll face Princeton on Saturday. Number 19 men's tennis also hosting the ITA kickoff weekend. They'll host number 25 UCLA on Saturday at 2 p.m. Men's and women's both in action at the Mitchell Tennis Center right here in Bryan College Station. Equestrian, the number 2 ranked equestrian team, back in action after a month and a half off. They'll host number 4 Baylor at the Hildebrand Complex in Bryan College Station. I believe an 11 a.m. start on Saturday morning. And then softball news, Haley Lee and Mackenzie Herzog have both been named to the USA Softball's National Player of the Year watch list just 2 weeks from opening day over at Davis Diamond, David.
Busy.
Very busy.
What are you hearing in regards to Harold Perkins and this final stretch?
Well, I mean, it's not just, let me say one thing. It ain't just about Harold Perkins. In case I feel like a lot of people are focusing on that because we like to focus on the one that seems the hardest to get or the one that you might quote unquote lose. What if they don't sign Harold Perkins and sign Shamar Stewart? Guess what? Number 1 class of all time. What if they don't sign Harold Perkins or Shamar Stewart and sign Jacoby Matthews? Guess what? Number one class of all time. I don't think they're not going to sign one. I think they're going to get one. I've said all along, I've said from day one of this thing, I thought they're going to get one of the three. I would have thought that was Perk early, lately into current. I think that's Shamar Stewart, and he'll make a signing day decision between A&M, Georgia, and Miami. Miami's going to get a crack this weekend, so that's not something to take lightly. But I really like their chances with Shamar. I think with Perk, I think they did not back away from the recruitment. I may have backed away from the recruitment. If I was a head coach or heading up a staff, I might have said, you know what, enough's enough. But that's why I wouldn't have players like Harold Perkins. Think of how many signing day things A&M pulled off where they've got these guys on campus where a lot of times it was not easy. And they've loved Perk from day one. They know that they probably expected this, and that was why there was such an effort by not only A&M, but other teams to get him signed early. Because I've said it before, David, when there's just this many guys out there that are of that level talent, just elite, and you've got every school in the country trying to get them. And it's, Texas A&M, if you'd have gotten Perk signed early, this is not happening. And same with Shamar and those guys, but you can't force guys to sign when they're not ready. And I think that backfires on you anyway, but that would have been the ideal situation because you knew that Perkins was going to get so much attention. He was going to take visits. I still say I don't think he would have committed had it not been for the commitment to do so during that All-Star game. And I think the feel amongst Aggies would feel a lot different right now. You don't have the dipwit Longhorns and Sooners and LSU fans on Twitter talking about they're like laughing about A&M losing a commitment when A&M's got that. You can literally make one click and say, oh, they're still the number one class in college football. Oh, they might get Shamar Stewart and finish with the number one class that's anyone's ever signed. So Perk is still a big deal. There's a chance A&M would get two of the three. And then what? Then what are people saying? I think when push comes to shove, Nuno, with Perkins, what's going to be interesting, and Bronny's been saying it and Howell, and I've been talking about it too. What truly matters to him? Does he want to go to like Jackson State because of whatever Deion's promising and because he thinks he can play more running back? I think A&M views him as a guy that could absolutely do both, first of all, for starters. Or does he want to go to Florida and jump in with an all-new staff that hadn't done it at that level ever?
All right, appreciate everybody. Hope you had a great week. Thank you so much for listening and watching. However you consume this show, I want to remind you guys to like, subscribe, comment, share, rate, review, and put it in the mail. Appreciate all that. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys next week.